Yeah, and just a little bit underneath. There we go. Great stuff. All right, man, I'll just kick it off. And welcome to the Pagey Train. Today we have in the studio Brad Stubbs, a musician from Western Sydney. Welcome to the Pagey Train.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having us.
So you're part of a project called the Proxy. So what's the Proxy all about?
Yeah, so Proxy started about 5 or 6 years ago now. Started off as a collaboration with my long-time collaborator and former bandmate David Shadbolt. We're in a band together called Soma for quite a number of years in and around Sydney. So after that kind of wound up and a few other little side projects didn't quite take off, I'd been kicking around a bunch of rap hip-hop type songs and lyrics. Really just, sitting on the shelf for a long time, and I'm kind of waiting for the opportunity to give them a try. So I hit Shadbolt up. He wasn't too keen at the start. Shadbolt's very, very metal, very rock. So bringing him around.
Well, us metal guys, we are setting our ways.
Yeah, exactly. So, and as the story will unfold, we'll come to see that a bit more. But so it started out just the two of us. We did an EP which we released back in 2016. Oh, yeah. And I was really keen on trying, I guess, out some new sounds, trying out to really fuse the rock and the hip rap and hip hop influences. I guess a little bit more than some of the other artists around, and maybe in a little bit more of a radio friendly way than the real heavy, Rage Against the Machine kind of.
Political in your face, lots of cursing.
Yeah, that kind of trying to mellow it out a little bit. Yeah. So we released that EP. But then very quickly we were, maybe we should go do some shows for these things. I did do a couple of shows by myself.
So the EP came before the shows? Is that how it happened?
Yeah.
So it always spins me out when that happens, man, because I've always been someone that's, we write the material first and then, then we jam it and then put it to show.
Yeah.
Not do the EP, then the show.
Yeah, and I guess being self-produced, we just had that ability to, Dave pretty much wrote the tracks, brought them to me, laid down vocals, we had songs ready to go. So, and it was the first time I guess we explored doing shows without a band. We'd sort of talked about it before, like it's theoretically possible, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, look, hip-hop guys do it all the time. They're playing to their backing tracks, so we thought maybe we can do similar, but with a bit heavier tracks, and gave that a go. But yeah, I felt very alone up there on the stage after a long time of having, the band there as I guess a support and a bit of distraction. All eyes were on me all of a sudden.
Yeah, you can hide a little.
Different.
You can hide a little bit amongst the band on the stage. Even if you're the front man, you can still hide a little bit.
Yeah,
I have a bad tendency of going up to the drummer and putting my foot on the drum and shouting at the drummer. It's a bad thing to do because you'll go deaf doing that.
Yeah. I love that interaction with the band as well. So. I guess, exactly like you said, looking to bring the music to the people and bring this EP that we'd been kicking around at home with. Let's do some shows. Dave obviously plays guitar. One of my other really good mates is a drummer, so we brought him in, and all of a sudden we were now a 3-piece band playing along to a bit of a mix of the backing track and live instruments. And then we thought, why don't we get a bass player? And just to help fill the sound out a little bit. And that kind of brings us to where we are now, which is a 4-piece band. Again, I guess the experiment with the hip-hop stuff has certainly stayed, but we've kind of gradually slid back to what we know, which is kind of very rock, a very rock groove alternative.
It was more of a hard rock. When I was listening to some of your stuff, it's got some hard rock elements to it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We all grew up, and as I said, we were in a band for a long time, which was kind of, I guess, alternative prog, almost you call it, Butterfly Effect, Tool, those kinds of those influences.
Oh man, you're speaking my language.
Yeah, it's a very common language, I think, for people our age. That was the sound back then, particularly that late 90s, early 2000s. That was very much the sound of Sydney, I think, in terms of the live music scene. So, so as I said, that kind of brings us to where we are now, recording an album. We've released a couple of tracks off the forthcoming.
Oh, see, that's just envious. Doing an album, because it being self-produced, you can get away with it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you go and try and pay to get an album done, you got to cut off your left arm to get it done.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's a massive asset to have Dave there doing the lion's share of the production work. The bass player that we now have, Roger, is also trained musician. Actually, you might well know him from Western Sydney University campuses and
Yeah,
stuff.
probably.
Roger Lee, his name. But
What band, do you know what bands he's been in?
he was in a band called 1234.
Yeah, I think I played with those guys.
Yeah.
Back 2013. around
Yeah,
about then.
yeah, and he's still kicking. He's kind of got a little side projects going on all the time, but and so yeah, he brings a lot of mastering aspect to the mixes for us. But yeah, look, it's still really been a long kind of labour of love. We're all we all have lives outside of music as well. We've got kids, so I joke a lot on stage that this album's turning into a bit of a Chinese democracy and taking that long. But I guess we're also getting to that age now where, look, why rush it, man? It's taken this long for one. We're not getting any younger for two. Like, let's just really sit on it and make sure these tracks are super banging before we hit the market.
It becomes about yourself, right? Like, because don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong, nothing like going out and entertaining a crowd.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point when you start pursuing music, because like when you're in your early 20s, you're like, everything sounds awesome, and you're going to be fantastic for the rest of your life. And then after a few shows, after a few bands, you realise, man, this is hard. This is really bloody hard. But then I think I must resonate with that, because I think I've gotten to an age as a muso that I've realised, man, I've got a lot behind me. I can bring a lot to a set. I can bring a lot to a show. Yeah. And that's a great feeling. That's a fantastic feeling. And I try to reflect on myself as my young 20-year-old self being in bands. I go, they're just miles apart. They're miles apart. But just going back to going more lonesome on stage, how did you find that? I would find that terrifying.
Yeah, and look, I have done a couple since then as well. I guess we're the kind of band, and we still do that fusion of genres that I guess we're almost two bands in some degrees now. We're a really heavy rock band, but then I can jump up and do a few tracks by myself, or I can do them with the band. We're quite versatile in that respect, so I do still do them from time to time. Again, it's still it's a very different experience. Actually, one of the first shows, I think actually maybe the first show that I did doing the new hip hop thing and unleashing the EP was a support spot for Seth Century, who's a pretty notable and award-winning hip hop artist who's doing a show up in Katoomba, and I managed to snare the support spot for that. And so there was quite a few people at the show. My first show, I guess, rapping in public and doing that side of and it's a different persona as well, like, I guess, again, with the band, you can kind of hide a bit, you can jump around and run around and be a bit of a dickhead a bit.
You can be a bit more aggressive, and it's you're right, though, it is a different persona.
But the hip-hop thing, like, people are watching you, man. They're watching every single word that comes out of you. They're listening to hear the words that come out of your mouth. I think there's a lot, the focus a lot more is on what you're saying, as well as how well you're saying it, how good your flow is and that
they're
kind
kind of probably looking for the message, right? Or like, what's this song about, and what's he on about? Yeah,
and it's that connection where I think obviously with bands and stuff, it could be the guitar lick, it could be something else in there. You've got a lot more at your disposal to grab the audience's attention. Largely hip hop music is a kind of as good as some of it can be. It's generally the accompaniment rather than the focus. So
yeah, totally. Because you can go in a band, you can go, all right, the guitarist is doing a solo, and now a guy's doing a scream. Now the drummer gets to roll out. There seems to be a passing of the torch in a band, and you get to share that sort of limelight.
Yeah, definitely. And even trying to, I guess, convert some of the band songs to solo performances, we've noticed that as well. Like, we're going to have to cut that section. I can't stand around for 30 seconds while that instrumental section plays. We've got to cut that bit out and really just leave it pretty lyric heavy. So yeah, it is. It's a very different experience personally, and I guess in terms of preference, I again just gravitate back to that band and group dynamic. That's where I feel comfortable. I get really nervous in solo performance situations, like even in front of friends or family, picking up a guitar and playing. If it was on me individually, I find I get a lot more nervous than even having one or two people there with me. I just can kind of chill out a bit. That always really struck me with the band, because it just never got me. Like, I've had times where either just performing on stage or doing other types of performances, musical theatre and stuff, where I was just absolute wreck before going on stage. And even on stage as well, like having my performance suffer from those nerves coming through, and singing out of key or something like that, and
Yeah, bombing's fucking horrible, man.
It's hard, man. It's
But
hard.
you've got to bomb a little bit to learn.
do,
You got to. You got to take the. You got to develop that scar tissue so you don't get back to it, and it makes you work harder.
Yeah, definitely. And
Totally.
learn some hard lessons as well, just in terms, partying, doing the rock thing, thinking you can drink till 2, 3 in the morning when you've got a festival show at 12 o'clock the next day. You learn quickly you can't do that things, or sometimes you just get by through the skinny teeth and you go, no, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you're just getting by. But I think in our band we share that limelight as well. It's always someone else's turn to be really pissed on stage.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, there are those moments where you're at it came up the other day actually. The Hideaway. That's a great venue to go out and get pissed and have fun.
Yeah.
It's very tight room. You don't have a lot of stage to move around. It's very, very up close and personal. I think I've even poured beer on people at that venue.
It's the type of venue you could get away with it, I think. We actually played our first show there not long ago, late last year.
Okay.
I actually remarked at the time, I was like, we've been playing in Sydney for better part of 20 years. We never played the Hideaway before. We did a show there with a couple of cool bands. I think it was Code Atlantic and a really cool punk band called L'Orange Bucket or something.
L'Orange Bucket.
L'Orange Bucket. I don't know if it's L'Orange or L'Orange.
L'Orange Bucket.
L'Orange Bucket.
It makes you stretch out the bucket after the end as well.
Yeah, exactly.
L'Orange Bucket.
Yeah, but it was exactly that type of venue. Yeah, really, really cool and intimate.
Yeah.
I miss those types of venues. Back in those Soma days I was talking about, our stomping ground. I don't know if you ever played. There was the Excelsior in Surrey Hills.
No, I haven't done that one.
It's on that big walk as you kind of head up the
Actually,
hill there,
one.
and it was just tucked to but it was awesome, man. A real dedicated crew that kind of got in there all the time. Awesome sound guy. That type of room where it was probably only about this big, but the band could be playing there. You could be standing at the back of the room having a conversation with the guy next to you and still hearing everything. It was just halcyon days.
Yeah, well, I like those tight venues though, because you get that Sydney at the back syndrome, where you've got a room that can fill 150 people, but you've only got 100 people there. So you've got that gap of the 50 people at the front, and you're trying to coax people in. Come up the front. That's why I like those little venues, because you can pack them really easy and you can make it really intimate. But going to the other side of things, when you're doing like a factory theatre or something like that, you've got to have your game on. You definitely have to have your game on. But a big shout out to one of my old guitarists, though. You know what I'm talking about, buddy. I had this thing where in the previous band I was in, Alpha Degenerate, the guitarist used to get at me a few times. He'd go, "You've had too few many drinks, man. You dropped the line here," and yada yada yada. I'm like, "Yeah, but the crowd still loved it, man. Everyone had a fun time. So what's the problem?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, but it's about the music, man. You screwed with the music." And I was like, "Okay," and I ended up, let me just say, a psychedelic state of mind by accident, to put it mildly. And I was on stage and I'm watching a kaleidoscope run into a unicorn. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because I used to have this thing, right, where doing like heavy metal, you got to go to this, like you say, a persona. You got to go to this dark seed where you're tapping into this dark moment. But then all of a sudden, everything's all gooey and warm, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. Anyway, he comes up to me at the end of the show and he goes, "That was the best show you've ever done, man." I'm going, I can't understand a word you're saying right now. I'm peaked on acid, dude.
Wow. Wish I could get away with that one as a front man. I don't think it'd pull off, but...
Well, everyone involved knows that it wasn't my intent to be in that state of mind.
Yeah.
I didn't willingly do that.
Were you like spiked or just accidentally...
No, I didn't know what it
out
was.
of the wrong bag?
Yeah, didn't know what it was. I thought it would have been just something that was a bit uppity, but it turned out to be a whole lot more.
Yeah.
So I managed to, through the skinnier teeth on that one, but people were coming up to me at the end of the show going, "That was fucking amazing, man." And like in my mind, all I could do was just imagine where I needed to be, make sure that I could stay and find my cues. Because if you miss a cue, that's it.
Yeah.
The cue's gone. And
I've definitely found as well that's kind of the other side of performing under the influence, is that you have those times where it's fucking awesome, man. Like you yourself feel fucking awesome. The crowd tells you it was awesome. Like I've had times where I've probably had a bit too much and people do. I'm like, dude, that was just the most insane I've ever seen you before. And then you start to think, okay, is this the standard I have to meet? Is this the place I have to go to for this level of output. And so it's a bit of a fine line to tread, I think.
Well, for tips of young players, guys, if you're out there starting a band, I totally recommend, if you ever get into a quandary where you think that your performance enhanced in any way, just understand that's probably a one-off. Generally, the best shows I've had, I've been pretty much sober. Might have had a couple of beers before I went on to crush, the stage nerves. But that's it.
Yeah.
And some of the most amazing shows, I've been like totally straight.
Yeah.
So the worst shows that I've done, I've been off my head.
Yeah.
But some of the best shows that I've had have been off my head as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and likewise, I'd say the follow-up to that is, the more you try and chase that, the exponentially faster it goes downhill. So if you do luck out and have a good one, don't put any stock in it at all, man. It is just that. You lucked out, enjoy it, and go back and do your business properly next time.
Yeah, do your job properly. You've got a job to do.
Yeah.
And I think, look, the analogy I'd use for that is like you're a dog chasing a car. You're not going to get that car ever again.
No.
Totally recommend that. Go to practice, do your homework, and then line up a show, do your rehearsals leading up to that show, and put on a goddamn good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my definite advice to you young pups out there. But I would dare say we're from another generation, because I've been on stage with younger bands, and you can see that they're all totally 180 straighties. And you're like, man, when I was 20...
I know, right? And I feel like,
you make me feel like an old cunt, like Jesus.
I feel like when was it 22 Jump Street, I think it is, when they go back to high school and they're like... they just get picked on for being such dicks. Like, why are you so nice? Like, everybody's nice now. I was like, it wasn't like that when we were around, man. Like,
no, it was a bit rougher.
Yeah. Harden up a bit, Yeah,
but that was the go.
Don't recycle. Fuck the environment.
What's the environment? Even looking back, like even our folks would say that, harden up, because they would go, well, back in our day.
Yeah.
And now I find myself saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Back in my day, man, we wouldn't have worried about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Back in our day, skewies were $4 and you'd have 6 of them before you went on stage.
Oh, $4 skewies, good day.
Man, I saw Petrol Man was less than $1.
Yeah,
less than $1.
I think I got some at around 98 cents or something, and you're filling up a 50-litre tank for less than $50. It's like,
it was time travel.
Yeah,
totally time traveling, man.
Yeah.
How's the Proxy been coping with the crisis? Like, have you guys still been working online?
Yeah, so we tried doing a few things, just kind of dicking around. I personally started doing a little acoustic series that I called Live from the Lav. As you would know, and all the other musos out there would know, the bathroom has the best acoustics in the house.
Yeah.
So I
get a lot of writing done in there.
Started doing a few acoustic covers live from the toilet. When things were in total lockdown, Dave and I still caught up in socially distanced, acceptable ways for our exercise to kind of keep some things going. But really, man, we were a little bit out of touch. I started to explore some of the kind of online jamming options to see whether we could get something like that going, but seems latency is still the biggest issue in terms of...
You can't do it live.
Yeah.
You can't do it live. What we've been doing is just working to a click track.
Yeah.
We're doing it as we were writing as if we were producing.
Yeah, exactly. And you can almost share it in real time, I guess, so people can jump on and start, you can do that.
Well, the closest I get to real time, I haven't actually performed it properly yet, but you can... we're on an app called Discord. A lot of gamers use Discord. And Discord has a good integration with SoundCloud. So do a click track, load up your material to SoundCloud, and then you can all listen to that SoundCloud clip in real time.
Yep.
So that's the closest to real time you can get, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard... I'm actually in another band, little side project called Satellite Cities, which is a very, very eclectic mix of people. Do a lot of sampling and stuff, female vocals, myself on doing a bit of mix again of the rapping and singing. But we've been talking about using GarageBand and the iRig and basically everybody hooking up to the mothership through those devices. So look, the technology's obviously there. very happy to report that our studio's back open this week. I'm a little bit croaky, tonight, because I've actually jammed twice this week just because the studio's open and haven't been able to use them. So been to 2 different studios this week just to share the love around, and get back into the groove of the live thing, which is I think more than anything it just. We jam at the end of the week. We jam on a Sunday night. Again, we're all family men, so Sunday night's the one time the wives can kind of go, I guess that's not, it's not an inconvenient time to do things, but it's just that release at the end of the week to get it all out. And
yeah, we're a Saturday band. We do our jams on Saturday nights normally, sometimes Fridays. We've been doing Zoom as well, man. We do a Zoom meeting, talk about, all right, do this riff that way. How about we arrange it this way? And then, then we get to punch it out. But the good thing about it is, because when we're writing in a studio environment, it's sort of, a lot of the songs we've written have just been from the hip, where someone has a riff, someone puts a part to the riff, and then I'll lay a vocal track on it.
Yeah.
But now what I'm doing is that guitarists will put out a track, and don't get me wrong, we've done songs this way before, but it's very prevalent at the moment. And we would the guitarist will do a track, drummer puts his track to it. Then the other guitarists will put their tracks in, and then at the end of it, I'm at the end of the production line.
Yeah,
I get to lay my vocals on it. Now the cool thing about that is I get to listen to it the entire process. And then once it's sort of almost solidified, I can then start to populate the song. And I'm hooked. I cannot stop writing this way, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, the band is bloody getting pissed off with me. I'm like, give me another riff. Give me another riff.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess just quickly going back to the Zoom thing, we did... We just released a couple of tracks recently, as I said, or one last year and one this year. So Ignition just came out a couple of weeks ago, and we did a little Zoom meeting for that, I guess, as an introduction. We talked about the track. So that was a little something different that we, I guess, hadn't done from a band perspective before, was to, I guess, bring people into the creative process a little bit. Talk about just the different gear we used, the plugins, the production side of things, which I know a lot of musos, not myself, but a lot of musos are into that techie stuff and nerd out on, all that stuff. So that was cool to do something different. Given that the context we had to work within. But it's funny you mentioned that, man, because that's pretty much how me and Dave, or me and Shadbolt, who I mentioned, have always worked. Ever since the very first time I met him, he posted an ad for a singer for a band, sent me a CD with, I think, 3 songs on it, that were either complete shells, just lacking vocals, or with a few guide vocals on it for a few lyric ideas that they'd had. But pretty much since that time, I've been delivered a produced track that needs vocals.
Wow, man, that's living the dream.
Yeah, so
living the absolute dream.
And it's I guess it makes things a lot more productive when we get to the studio as well. Not to say we don't let things come out on the fly as well. Obviously, we're in the studio, so we
always
jam
out. You always jam, right?
Jam out. And
someone press record.
Quick, grab the phone, record that, so I don't forget it. But then, or it'll just be me. I'll bring a chord progression to the table. He'll go away and come back, and all of a sudden, it's a fucking symphony orchestra, ready to go. So, it's I have seen a lot of people starting to work that way now that haven't before, like yourself. I've always been a bit spoiled in that regard.
Yeah, totally spoiled, man. Totally. I've been, obviously been in several bands, and sometimes you would get the final product, or you would get at least most of the arrangement put together. The biggest frustration for me as a vocalist in most bands that I've been in is once I put my vocal tracks on it, they decide to do a creative change. And that creative change may be enough to totally throw off my vision for what the song was. It could even change the lyrics and change, whether you're on the root note or off the root note. And then that's night and day for me. Like being on the root note, you're either with them or you're against them. All right? Yeah. And I just find that sometimes that can be really challenging and frustrating. Yeah,
I guess one of the the potential drawbacks from it is the constant back and forth. Is that you've got you've done all this work to get the track to this point, and then, as you say, I'll put a vocal part down that, I really like that vocal part, but something needs to change in the track to accommodate it. Or we've come up with a new idea when we're playing it live. Somebody started doing something else, so that needs to be. So there can be a lot of back and forth And then even just with the final mixes, we try and get in the habit of getting in a single room for that. But in the lead up to that, it can be a lot of back and forth. Take this down, lift that up, boost that. Don't like that effect.
Yeah, it's a bit finicky sometimes like that.
Yeah, but I used to hate that shit. But the older I get, the more I enjoy it.
That's why I bring it up, man. Like, because the older I get and the more experience now that I've got, you know, after all these years of doing it, I go, no, that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't lock out other ways to do it. Like, for instance, like I've done a vocal line and go, man, can you write something to this? Because I love these vocals. Can you write something? You know, it can be totally the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Or just stuff that's off the fly. And some of the best songs we've ever written, man, have just been off the fly. It's just started with an open chord. A lot of great stuff starts with just an open chord and us just getting into it.
Absolutely, man. And I've got so many. Actually, the other track that we have up on our Bandcamp called 1111 that we released last year on November 11. Guess. But actually, it might have been the year before.
Sounds like you're in a conspiracy band.
We take it a little bit of time in between, like I said, but that's one of those tracks that I started. I bought a very simple, basic chord progression. Not even a chord progression. I think it was all just played on like the open A string, open A and D strings, just a little, and then that was it. That was all Dave needed to come back with this. Like I said, the symphony orchestra is this massive, big, chunky,
totally populated
rock and roll.
song.
But and now I still listen to it and think, I technically wrote that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I just going back to 9/11. Like one of my previous bands, we would classify ourselves as conspiracy metal.
Conspiracy metal, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, they're definitely a political band. Like we all write about stuff. You know, look, we still do political stuff. Not a lot of it, but I guess maybe it's a part of the being an activist. You want to invoke change or provoke thoughts, because you were talking about Rage Against the Machine sort of influences, but moving away from that, do you still have those sort of tendencies of activism?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it was probably one of the big driving forces, but behind starting the Proxy and even the Proxy name itself was to use our voice for something. I kind of sat there and thought I've done a lot in music. I think I'd just come out of a punk band that was, we were doing just fun stuff. Like, it was fun stuff, but I was like, I've got a voice, man. Why aren't I using it to actually say something? And I have things to say. I say them outside of the music. I'm a very politically minded and opinionated person in a normal context. So I found there was this kind of disparity that I wasn't finding an outlet or using it through the music. So it was very front of mind when we started the Proxy to incorporate that kind of stuff. Again, it was, I think, it may be a little bit of a slow start because we did get caught up in doing some really fun stuff, and I'm still into that as well. Like, I don't want it to be all the time hardcore, heavy, cerebral stuff. I do want to be able to just chill and have some fun songs that aren't all about that, but I guess to really bring it back. So a lot of the stuff that's coming out in the next few releases are very much social commentary, looking at the world around us, having an opinion on it, and as I said, the Proxy itself, the name is obviously a proxy is an agent or a substitute, and so it was about using our voice for people who don't have one, who can't find one, or just don't know. They're just curious. Like, and again, I guess I'm more about asking questions than delivering messages or dictating any particular ether. Like, just ask questions, man. Just pull everything apart.
I think you're onto something there. I think a lot of things, especially in today's society, beg the question. There are things out there that you may not have an answer for it, but it definitely needs a question. Even from the way that politics has been operating lately, the way that corporations have been behaving lately. And when I mean lately, I mean the last 30 years. I mean the last 20 years. I mean the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And if people don't have critical thinking of that, I think we'll go insane. Like, I don't know what I would do if I wasn't a heavy metal vocalist.
Yeah.
I think I would be on a couch paying someone $60 an hour, probably more. How much do psychologists get paid? I don't know. Big shout out to psychologists out there. You guys are going to be making a mint after this crisis.
Bloody oath. If you're not already.
Yeah, if you're not already. Well, again, I have been having withdrawal, man. I would get, I'd sit at, my edit suite, scream into a microphone and go, wow, I haven't done that in 3 weeks. There's only 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And when I go on holidays, if we go on a Christmas holiday, you tell your brain, like, all right, I'm not going to do anything for that time. I'd still be singing in a shower somewhere.
That's right. Yeah.
Somewhere, right? Somewhere I'm going to be vocalising, right? But, being cooped up in this, air quotations, home detention / isolation, I think the neighbours are very well acquainted with Tool right now.
Yeah.
I think they're very well acquainted with... I did Life is Peachy. I did the entire album
Nice.
2 weeks ago. So I think they're getting really acquainted with the heavy metal that is on my mind.
Yeah.
And then it just dawned me, man, this is something that I don't just want to do. I think a part of me has to do it. I have to do this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I have that same kind of compulsion to get into a studio and just create. And again, probably something I've appreciated more. Certainly something that I definitely experienced as a younger musician, but probably didn't appreciate as much. Is just those, man. There's times in the studio, I'm gone, man. Like, when it all just falls into place, none of us are there. Yeah. None of us are there anymore. We're just, our bodies are there emitting noise, and our brains and souls are just floating up in the air above it, man. And it's just, that's what I live for, man. And I think as a musician, if you don't have that, or you can't find that, if that's not your basis or your foundation, anything else you try and find or achieve outside of this, you're never going to find it.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
And I know dudes like that. There's dudes out on the scene right now who are just flogging their asses and I deal with them and kind of, I've got that insight to just know that they're just not operating on that same level. It's a bit more surface a lot of the time.
I run into a few musicians and you start talking to them and you go, oh, the weight of the world has not yet crushed your shoulders.
No, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, your creativity is, something that there's a technical aspect, but there's also that you've got to have lived it, man. Like, you can't, it's like a gangster rapper who grew up on
the right side of the tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Preppy white kid.
Yeah, it's a square.
Like most gangster rappers these days.
It's a square hole and a round peg, right? Totally. Where I run into musicians like that is when I'm organising shows.
Yeah.
That's where I run when I'm doing the administration of doing a show. That's where I'll have these conversations, and you'll just hearing them. They go, because some people will just jump at it like, yeah, man. I know a band Reva, right? You ring up Reva, they'll go,
Reva,
yeah. They'll go, man, where you playing? We'll be there, whatever.
Yeah.
Right, they couldn't give a shit, right?
Yeah.
They'll play anywhere.
Yep.
And we're the same, man. You put on a bill, as long as there is some level of us fitting in. And don't get me wrong, when I put on a show, I like to put on a punk band, I like to put on a political band.
Yep.
I like to put on a variation, so you don't have the same genre just running through the entire night.
Especially these days, so many bands sound the same. You can literally have about 4 or 5 hours. It's just the same song, basically.
Well, I call it the keep the girlfriends happy philosophy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of blokes that are in bands, and don't get me wrong, there are lasses in bands as well, and it is male dominated. So get out there and bloody start playing music.
Take over.
Yeah, take over. It's not given to you. You got to go and take it. There's the girlfriend philosophy where if you bring your bird along, she's like another show, right? Because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many shows have I been to? And it's like all the bands are the same again. You're like, I don't like this music, but I come to support you because I like you and you like doing music, so I'll support you. So the way I think about it is, if you can get that person to like a show, they'll buy a ticket.
Yeah.
And then they'll get they'll bring people along with them. So you got to make it entertaining. You got to have some pitch and yaw in there. You got to have it as a wave, a different sound coming through the entire time. That's what I find to be most successful for like a Sydney, pub show.
Yeah, definitely. And we definitely find that as, again, one of these, a band who's kind of genre bending or genre fusing. We really don't, there's very few bands that we sit, directly alongside. We're always the kind of, the odd one thrown into the mix a bit. So
yeah, I know that feeling, man. I know that feeling.
And likewise, when I'm trying to,
I feel like I'm in a music therapy session. Yeah, man. You tell how it is, man. I know we don't fit in, man.
Yeah, no. But and even when we're trying to organise shows again, it's looking at who's gonna work with us, but who's also not too much like us. It has been really cool though, like again, fusing the rap and the rock. We've done some shows where we've really had the full extreme of both, like a real hardcore underground SoundCloud rapper on one end, and then a big ballsy 4 or 5 piece band like ourselves, or good mates of ours from down the south coast, Furious Monk, who do some similar style stuff, who would just blast the fucking doors off any venue.
Are those guys from? So they're from the Gong?
Yeah, Wollongong.
Yeah, see, that's a good little music hub down there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good shows down there. The Illawarra Music Foundry.
Yeah, the Foundry, and is the Rad Bar? Is the Rad
Bar closed, man?
Closed, man.
Tragic.
Another one bites the fucking dust. Hey,
yeah, that was such a cool venue. No poke, one of those no pokey venues.
Yeah, they're like a Valve venue, no pokies.
Little mezzanine section upstairs with all the pinball machines, and Rad was rad.
Rad was rad, man.
But in saying that, Illawarra Music Foundry is fucking awesome as well. Mark Lenzo is the name of the dude who runs that, is in a band himself called Dear Samsara. But the production quality coming out of there, if you check our page out, then we've got some footage from down there. He's putting on an awesome show, 360 cameras and shit.
Oh, far out.
Yeah, he's smashing it out there, man.
That's pretty full on, like,
yeah, I'm sure when gigs are happening again, make sure any bands out there, like his doors are open all the time. He really helps out the younger bands as well down there.
Yeah.
Has a lot of open mic nights and just free jam.
And that's the key, man. I've open mic nights. That's where you got to. Venues need to have those open mic nights, because when you're starting out as a band, the first thing a promoter's going to say to you is, "Well, where have you played before?" You go, "Well, nowhere." Well, why should I put you on?
Yeah, that's right.
You need those open mic nights so that they can cut their teeth a little bit and start their resume, because you need a bit of a resume to, the bigger your resume, the more shows you're going to get.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess going back to the activist side of thing and booking shows, I guess one of the other focuses for us over the last couple of years has been looking at doing, and I think there's been a lot more bands have been doing just a lot of charity events, fundraising gigs, getting behind as many causes as we can. Indigenous causes. We played up at the Gudumaba Aboriginal Film Festival, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Up at Katoomba a couple of years ago. I did a solo performance at that one.
No pressure.
Yeah, so that was cool to open that. And so one of the songs we do in the proxy, which is, I guess, along those more political lines, we do a cover of Goanna's Solid Rock. But given our style and the way we tend to do covers is I rewrite the verses, so I've got more of a kind of that hip hop rap verse, and then we can kind of steal the hook and the rest of the good parts of the song. So
that's not stealing; you're just lifting.
Yeah, exactly. Reappropriating.
Reappropriating it.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of our ones that sticks along the same themes of the original in that one. That was cool to perform up there. We've also did a show for Heartfest, which was a fundraiser for raising awareness for Kawasaki disease. Which
I've heard of that one. What's Kawasaki disease?
When I first heard of it, I was like, "Is this a scam, man?" I honestly thought it was a scam for dudes who wanted fucking raise money to go buy a motorbike or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where.
But no,
it doesn't sound legit.
It doesn't, but it is a legitimate. It's a kind of congenital heart defect that isn't, I guess, so bad in itself from what I do know, but can lead to a lot of other complications and stuff. So,
sounds hectic though.
Yeah, and a cool name at least, like a little perhaps
Well, I tried to start up a band once called Kawasaki Debrief.
Oh, really?
Not Kamikaze Debrief.
Kamikaze, yeah.
This is where I got my wires crossed. I'm like, kamikaze disease. Wow, that just sounds like people are jumping off. Yeah, they're just jumping off buildings or something. But no, so it's a heart condition for Kawasaki.
Yeah, so again, just looking to get behind whatever we can in the way of those types of causes, and again, just use our whatever meagre profile we do have to to help bring awareness to those types of causes. And yeah, I think we'll probably get into a bit more of that as we start to release, particularly these next couple of songs that are very heavily, critiquing of some of the things that have gone on lately, and just the way the world is at the moment.
Yeah, I like that. You've done a critique.
Yeah, critique. It's just my interpretation. It's just the vibe of it.
Yeah, it's just the notion. It's just the vibe.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just lost where I was going to go with that. Oh, damn it! I had a really good question for you. COVID. It was about COVID. Getting out of COVID. Where are we going? How are we getting out of COVID?
So on the note, on the COVID note, I guess I am actually working on a little a cover, a kind of a COVID satire type of one of those ones. I was going to release it during the whole thing. So it's a cover of the. I just can't remember who done the original, but Tupac did the cover of Changes.
Yeah.
So I've rewritten the verses for that again and made it all a bit tongue in cheek, but also a bit again asking some questions. Like, there's a lot of shit with this. And I was like, what? Some of this just anyway. I'm not no conspiracy, no tinfoil hat wearer. Again, I just ask questions and wait for reasonable answers.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Anything about the bushfires, that sort of thing, as we've just gone through, because that was sort of the same sort of period where you were writing
into bushfires.
Yeah.
In terms of the songwriting, or no, not really. I guess a lot of the writing stuff has probably been done for quite a while. It's really the production side of things. But we definitely, we did a couple of bushfire relief gigs. I did one with that Satellite Cities outfit that I mentioned. But I guess that was obviously something that just really took me by surprise this time. I think, like, living out this way, and I live up in the lower Blue Mountains, so bushfires certainly nothing new. But last year was just something altogether different, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a totally different kettle of fish, man.
Indirectly, we've got a few songs that deal with that topic of global warming and that kind of thing. Again, not too directly, just those kind of throwing little jibes.
Well, the last band we would write just directly about things like that Kennedy assassination, 9/11, HARP, all those sort of tinfoil wearing hat things. I think I went through a phase where I was actually wearing a tinfoil hat, metaphorically.
11/11 is probably the exception to that. As I mentioned, that's one of the other tracks we have out, and that's one of the, I guess, phenomenon type things that I have experienced myself, and I can't fucking explain it, man. I just can't explain it. It never happened to me before.
It's starting to happen to you.
I went overseas a couple of years.
Man, that happens to me all the time.
I went overseas a couple of years ago to New Zealand with the family. Just so my wife's got some family over there.
I just had to go.
No,
it's not.
No, it's not. I did see it today though. I saw it today, and actually, I saw it for like the first time over there, and I thought, I always hear people talking about it, and I thought it was funny when the first time I saw it. I was like, oh, there it is. Man, I swear to Christ, I've seen it every day, twice, sometimes more, if there's different multiple clocks in the house, but I see it all the fucking time now, and it's just. Just one of those, like, it's just weird.
1-1.
It's just
all
weird,
over the place. But isn't it? I don't know. But if you can look at this psychologically, right? Is it just confirmation bias? Because you know that you're looking for the 11.
That's right.
So therefore, you forget about the 58. You forget about the 43.
Yeah.
I
don't know. And again, I ask a lot of questions in the song about what it is, where it's coming from. Is it this? Is it that? Is it some type of higher power trying to talk to us or get us to talk to ourselves? Like, I think that's one of the theories. It's just a little reminder to take a minute for you to look and think inwardly.
Yeah.
Which is a lot for what it achieves for a lot of people, because they look at it and go, oh, 11 fucking cool.
Oh, I remember my question / statement now. I've got it. It wasn't the bushfires. It's about the primed scenario of doing shows after COVID. Because I had this thought the other day that they're not going to be doing arena shows. And I think I was talking about this about on the last podcast with Adam, actually. They're not going to be doing shows at big arenas. And Pagey use is going to go, like, Pagey use is out the door, right? Like, no one is using them.
No.
Right? And most venues are going to be going, and there will be a drop-off from gambling addiction now that people have been cooped up. They've probably had a chance to go, oh, you know what? I've saved so much money. I'm not going to go put this into a machine, right? So, you know, clear 6 machines out of your establishment, put on a little stage.
If not all.
If not all. All would be better, but we know business is
You
business.
need some revenue to keep afloat. Fair enough.
I know you need marble pillars outside of your pub, and that's important. So,
But the fucking lobbies of some pubs these days is fucking ridiculous, right?
yeah, but you see these places, right? They look amazing.
Yeah. Opulent.
Yeah, like, it's just ridiculous, some of these establishments, right? But, you know, just put a little corner for a music production of multiple genres on different nights, not really difficult, and you'll get people back into your pub. But I'm just saying that perhaps that because there will be a crowd that's out there that are looking for live entertainment, perhaps operators like ourselves will have opportunities to play more shows.
Yeah, I'm
hoping.
I'm kind of conflicted in my my forecast for what happens next. Look, again, I'm hopeful that it is going to be a big resurgence, that people are just going to be champing at the bit to go out, to be out, to hang out with people, to socialise and to listen to live music. But I also know, even I guess just from my own experience, that people have very quickly become accustomed to life indoors. You know, there's so many, and again, going back to the technology that musicians are using now, it's all being fucking zoomed right into you in your lounge room. You know, you can watch a live like dudes are live streaming their performances now. So I do worry about where the middle ground is in the future, whether both can survive, whether streaming just won't become a thing as much as it is now, which I don't think that'll be the case. I think everyone's probably going to keep doing that as an addition to the live stuff that they're
I think that happens across
well.
all industries, though. Like, you know, we were talking about this off camera before in our professional lives at work. I'm working from home. Most people are working from home.
Yeah.
Anyone that doesn't have a material handling job essentially is working from home. Will there be, after COVID, there's going to be a hybrid of that. There's going to be now, people are starting to realise that work-life balance can be achieved because now we have the technology to do so. You don't need all that face-to-face time. Gyms, right? So if you're a yoga instructor, right, before you'd have 10 people come into your studio doing yoga with you. But now you can have 10 people coming in the studio and then you do a live stream of that yoga event. Now that someone in, Broome can now do that yoga class with you. So now what I think would be is a hybrid of these ideas. I think the merge of digital and physical, those two spheres are currently colliding. And at the end product of that, there's going to be, I don't know what the ratio will be, but I think there will be certainly an aspect for more of a digital life, more so than before. Because before we were surrounded, with digital products, but now our hand has been forced.
Yeah.
We've had to adapt. And I don't think that there's one thing I don't think that will happen. It's not going to be a case where we turn the digital off and go back to our 9 to 5 lives. I just don't see that happening.
No, and I think the other thing I'm kind of hopeful of out of this is that, particularly in the live sense, is that venues are going to be more open to having, allowing performers to come in, knowing that people are wanting live performance, that they're going to open it up a bit more than just fucking cover bands. No offense to all my friends out there, making a living in cover bands, in some really good fucking cover bands, I might add.
Yeah, totally.
But
it's not easy. Cover bands aren't fucking easy, man.
No, but look, they are. I don't think anyone in an original band is going to tell you that it's not a hard fucking slog to snare particularly those primetime spots. To not have to play on a Thursday night where it's fucking, a hard slog to get people out at the best of times.
When people are cashed up and ready to go, they're hard to get there.
Yeah, exactly, at those times. So, yeah, look, hopefully a bit more consideration to go, look, people are champing at the bit. They want variety. Let's give them that variety.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's let the chips fall where they may. The whole model has been smashed. Let's adapt to it. Let's pick up the pieces and form a new model.
And really, once pubs are up and running again, there's no reason that we can't start becoming a city like Melbourne where there's shit on at the pub every fucking night.
Yeah, totally.
Every night. There's a different, whether it's, you've got your acousticy, solo-y stuff during the week, and you got your big bands on the weekend. You've got your big, massive cover band on the weekend, is going to bring a good couple hundred or if not 1,000 bloody people to your venue at like an RSL club or something like that. But yeah, just a proper live music strategy rather than just sticking to the old.
Well, I think they got the weather on their side as well. So they've got the indoor culture in Melbourne. They don't so much have that in Sydney.
Yeah.
But Melbourne crowds way better. Sydney, but Melbourne crowds are way better.
Yeah, definitely. I think they...
And Penrith crowds, mind you, to have a satellite idea into that. Some of the best shows I've done have been in Penrith, man. Best crowds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
people are hungry for it.
Yeah, we were talking just before we came on air about the fact that, venues just around here just don't seem to be able to achieve longevity. It's kind of a 3 to 6 or 12 month run before it all wraps up at any one particular venue and skips around town to the next one, and they'll have a crack at it, and then it'll come back down the other end of High Street.
It requires leadership. That's what it requires.
It does. And look, obviously, there's certainly been no shortage of people who've given it a crack, and thrown a lot of good money after bad, or really thrown their their whole heart and soul into trying to establish it, and just haven't had the community support to maintain it. So that's still the hardest thing about being in a band. And again, now the kids out there, anyone thinking about getting into it, your hardest job is and always going to be getting people off their arse and into a venue to watch you play.
Yeah, no, it's not even over. Once you've got them to buy a ticket and get into your venue, it's still not over.
No, that's right. They still might not come. Even though they've paid, they might, fuck it. It's only $10.
Yeah. But there are a lot of young... I don't know if it's just me that being more observant, but I think there is a lot more bands out there at the moment. Is it just me, or is there more bands?
Yeah, I don't know either. I've had that, is it just me again? Is it one of those older things that I'm just noticing it more? Certainly in the rap and hip-hop, man, there's fucking thousands. And not to disparage young rappers out there who might be listening to this. If you think you've got a craft and a skill, look, hone away at it, keep cracking. But, man, there's a lot of people out there who think they're musicians because they've got a beat and a phone or a microphone, and they can put the two together. Songwriting and musicianship is about a lot more than that.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it has to some degree kind of muddied the waters and made it hard to, good acts and good artists are kind of diamonds in the rough of this sea of fucking shit that you've just got to wade through. Definitely more so in that space. I think when it comes to bands, I think there's almost like an inherent requirement that you have to have some level of skill before people are going to give you attention. Nobody listens to a shit musician and says they're good. People listen to shit rappers and tell them they're good, or that they prop them up so much, falsely prop up and inflate them way more than bands. Like if you're someone going to do that doesn't sound good, man. I think bands have to earn it a lot more. So when you do start getting a bit of exposure, chances are you've got at least some. Yeah,
you've made someone notice for a reason. Yeah.
But on that side of things, volume is most certainly your challenge as well. I think it started to probably happen. Look, I'm pushing 40 and started learning guitar and stuff when I was like 12, 13, and I was probably one of the few that were like playing the instrument, being a band wasn't a big thing back then. Not everybody, there was probably four or five guys in your year who were into music.
That's true.
Enough for you to probably make one band. Now they're fucking all think they're musicians, and a lot of them are. Again, not disparaging anyone. If you think you're good, keep at it, give it a crack. don't ever let anyone like me tell you not to. But there's definitely, it's just, I think the popularity of it, the appeal of it.
And maybe the access as well.
And definitely the access, man. Definitely the access. And look, in saying that, there's dudes who out there with nothing but a microphone, a phone, and a beat who are making sensational shit.
Yeah,
so are making top quality content because they're that good. That's all they need. But it's not to say that's enough for everybody, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm one of those dudes that needs to practice before I can become good. I just wasn't naturally good when I just started doing it. I'm okay. I reckon I'm okay. Where do you guys practice? Do you do you hire a studio, or do you have your own studio, or?
Yeah, we use a couple of local studios. LA studios out at Wetherill Park is probably our main go-to.
Wow. We used to call that the desert back in the day.
Oh, it still is, man. There's like nothing. There's this rehearsal studio. There's a pub across the road that's always deserted. There's never anybody there. It's a very, very quiet industrial little area, but a great studio. I mean, anybody in Sydney or the Western Sydney area looking for a studio, LA Studios rates are second to none, and the systems in there are awesome. Every room there is really good. We were up until recently also jamming out Dragon's Den Music Studio out in Penrith. Which has gone through a few names and a few owners over the years. Western Sydney Musos will most certainly know it there on...
The owners have changed, but the pool table remains the same.
Exactly right, yeah. And actually the last owner had really done a lot of really good work, built some studios upstairs, had a vocal booth, like a DJ booth, and a whole production room set up that actually we did some work with there with the Proxy. We could just take the laptop in, plug in with Pro Tools and have it all up on screens and...
Oh, wow.
And all that at our disposal. So it was a real shame that he had to close that one down.
But is that because of the current situation?
Yeah, COVID was... I think times were a little bit tough probably before that anyway.
It's already a short margin, yeah.
But yeah, exactly. So trying to survive through COVID was certainly the nail in the coffin. And then the other one that we actually just went and had a visit back to the other night is Sweetleaf at Mount Druitt. I don't know if you've ever been to Sweetleaf, but it's...
been to Sweetleaf?
Oh, dude, it's...
That's a good fucking name.
It's an experience going to Sweetleaf, man. It's old, but it's solid, man. Like they've got this. Is
it a bit of a hang? Like, do people hang out there, or?
No, not anymore. Like back in the day, it was quite busy. Anytime I've gone there lately, we're the only band there, and they've only really got one studio at the moment, which is kind of this outside room. It's really like it's almost like a shipping container, really. But it's insulated with. It's insulated with egg cups on the roof.
Oh, wow, that kind of spec.
Egg cups on the roof and like some kind of like real thin like mattresses or some shit. And it's the deadest room, man. Like I recorded some footage in the other night on my phone and it's perfectly audible. Yeah. Like it's just so cool. So much character.
What was it called again?
Sweetleaf, all one word.
Sweetleaf.
It is open for business at the moment. $60 for 3 hours.
That's pretty good.
Pretty standard rates.
That's pretty standard. Yeah.
The machine, the PA in that room isn't the most massive thing, but look, we play with a backing track, and it accommodates us still. So, but yeah, look, just to say it's one of those things. Just to say you've done it, go have a jam at Sweetleaf.
Man, I've done most of the studios in town. I haven't looked. With that said, though, I haven't been in a rehearsal studio outside because we've got our own rig. We've got our own setup in a Kennards.
Nice.
And
let you jam at Kennards?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, in Penrith, man.
What the fuck?
Man, we've got a Kennards set up where
you can shoot drug dealers at Kennards. Why not fucking jam?
Oh, funny you say that, man. We've got a bullet hole in the bloody roller door.
Really?
Yeah, there's a bullet hole in the roller door. It's called Dank Studios.
It's not the one out there where what's his name got?
No, not that way.
Biscuit.
No. This act of violence happened a lot earlier than that. But we've been in that studio for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Neither did I. But this is how it came about. I was doing a TV. I was shooting a TV show with a mate, and we were going around interviewing musicians. And one of the questions we asked him was, Where do you rehearse?
Oh, yeah.
And this guy goes, we just got a Kennards, and we put up some carpet on the walls, and that was it.
Take note, band members. Make some fucking inquiries of this shit.
Wait, okay, think about this, man, because you're jamming twice a week, right?
Yeah.
And you're paying $60.
$60, yeah.
About $60, that's $120 a week.
Yeah,
Right?
$500 a month.
Right. So for $450 a month, you can have your own Kennards that you could access anytime you want. No one will show up because it's an industrial complex. And it's behind key
I
card.
slept on this, man. I feel like
key
a
button
fucking
access,
idiot.
man. Your gear is secure. Your drummer is always set up.
I feel
always
like
set
the
up.
last person at the party on this.
Well, that's what I felt like when I talked to this guy, and I was like, "Oh man, you do it in a garage at Kennards?" He goes, "Yeah, man." So I talked to the bass, our bass player. A big shout out, Steve-O, and we just did some A-frame wood frames, not A-frame, sorry. So just some frames like that. And we had a friend who recently vacated and sold his apartment. Got all the carpet, got all the put some dampener behind that. Some like I don't know what you call it. You know that stuff you put under your carpet.
Oh yeah, the underlay.
The underlay. So we put the underlay in the gaps.
That's great. Fucking
stitched it
great
up.
Soundproofing. That's
Yeah, well, you don't need it soundproof. You just need it to
just to muffle it a
just
bit.
muffle it. So
Yeah.
because they're made of tin, right?
I was about to say, mate, they'd be pinging around like crazy.
We set it up before we had built the soundproofing, and you can't do
no.
it. It's not even worth trying. We only tried it just to be smart asses. We had no intention of pursuing it that way. But get a couple of rugs. Chuck them on the ground, and that's it. You don't even need to do the roof. You don't need to do the roof because it will just like it's like a megaphone. It will just go out the door.
Yeah.
And your drums are set up all the time. Everyone gets a key because you just put a padlock on it. And instead of paying $450 a month, we pay $500, and our band kitty makes $50 a month.
Yeah. I was about to say, the money you're saving on the studio, you can say buy yourself the PA to be able to jam in there if you don't have one already.
But you pick them up. You pick this stuff up anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, so how many broken musicians out there are selling their shit? Right? They're everywhere.
Dude, it's fucking fire sales at the moment, eh? Like, yeah, crazy.
So and it's not stuck at your house because you're storing it all the time.
Yeah.
It's in a secure location.
Secure storage.
It's in secure storage.
Ensure you buy their insurance just in case anything happens.
Yeah, no,
or get your own.
It's already covered.
Yeah, exactly.
So covered by their premises.
Covered by their ones.
So if it burns down, they got to give you it.
Yeah, exactly.
Give you it, right?
Yeah. Fucking awesome.
And I can't recommend it highly enough. It is awesome.
Mate, fucking, that's a life changer.
Yeah, we $200 in wood. I think I had my own PA. My mate Steve, he got married. Instead of hiring the speakers, he bought them, and then he just brought those to the dank.
We were seriously talking about it during lockdown. We were like, we don't know when we're going to be allowed back to the studio. And yeah, just half jokingly, I think the drummer suggested that the guitarist, who makes the most money out of all of us, go and hire out a factory or something, or take over Dragon's Den now that it's closed down. But
all you need is a PowerPoint.
Yeah,
and you might worry, right? Because we were worried. We were like, all right, if we plug into this PowerPoint, how many things can we plug into this fucking PowerPoint?
Until you
never blowing it, man.
Yeah, no.
And we're running like 5 amps.
Yeah.
Running a brain and a PA.
Yeah, sick.
Man, it doesn't skip a beat.
Can I at least come down to yours and try it out?
Yeah, man. Yeah, totally. I'll show you some photos after of what we've set up, man. It will blow your mind.
You should be fucking renting it out and paying the rent in it.
Man, they keep putting our rent up. Kennards, stop putting our rent up because I have to keep going in there, and I've got to talk to the manager because the normal salesman goes, I can't put your rent up, man. I can't lower your rent. I'm like, we've been here for 7 years.
No.
And like my bass guitarist, or is it the car? Yeah, may have been a guitarist. He goes up and he's like, you're not to talk to those people ever again. You just lose your cool straight away. I'm like, no, but they keep putting it up, man. We've been here for years. Why do they keep putting it up?
Give me some kind of loyalty discount.
Yeah, man. We were the first, because we were the first customer. Because it just got built.
Yeah.
We're the first customer. But band practice for me is a 2-minute drive.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Well, actually, it's Rob who comes and picks me up. So
In saying that, we're quite, we're a bit spread out in the proxy. As I said, I'm up in the lower mountains, drummers at Glenmore Park, and then the guitarist and bass player out Campbelltown way. So LA Studios at Weather Park is about as close to dead centre for everybody as we can get. And down the freeway, it's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Look for a Kennards in Wetherill Park.
Yeah, I'll be looking around definitely for sure. But I also enjoy. I generally ride to practice with the drummer, so I'll go meet him at his house, and that's our kind of time to bond and do our little pre-vocal warm-ups.
Well, it's a social occasion, right?
Yeah, definitely.
My mate Rob, drummer, he'll come around do a podcast, and then we'll go down to the studio. We'll hang around for an hour because everyone's running late. Bring a case of beer with us.
Yeah.
Have 2 or 3 beers. Do the set. Do a bit of writing. Have a break. Have a smoke break. Then drink some more beer. Do the set again. You do it at your own pace. When you're doing those 3 hours, you're like, all right, set up your drums, man. Get them going. We're on the clock. Let's go. Yeah,
we did have it actually pretty sweet for a while. The drummer. One of the drummers' good mates did have his own studio out at the back of Bryn Jelly or something. So even then, for guys living in Penrith and Campbelltown, it was probably smack bang in the middle, and had that added benefit. We could just hang out and chill. It was such a cool fucking studio as well. Like just all the walls were just decked out in all the little knick-knacky stuff. It was actually used in. What did they use it in? They used, I think, in a couple of Housos episodes. So it was used as the clubhouse for the bikie gang in Housos. So if anyone's curious what I'm talking about, look back at some old Housos episodes.
I've had a couple of the actors from Housos on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I mentioned to you.
A big shout out to Victoria, actually. Now that I mention it,
a mate of mine is working on a little short film at the moment and asked me to shoot a little scene for him, which I mentioned to you before. And that's got I think Johnny Boxer's making an appearance in that.
Oh yeah,
as obviously as the antagonist. It's acting's I guess one of those other things that I do enjoy dabbling in from time to time. Never ever really taken it super seriously, but I love being the centre of attention, obviously. So.
Oh man, that's man. Again, I totally resonate with that. Being a front man in a band, and always trying to get on a film set and direct a movie or shoot a movie. Well, speaking of shooting movies, so you've just recently had a music video come out, yeah? Or was that recent? No, it was done by. Was it Adam that did the video for you guys?
No, so we're working on one with Adam at the moment.
You haven't released it yet. Okay.
Yeah, no, working on a few ideas actually. Obviously, with all these or a couple of key, what we'd call key songs coming out, or certainly those what I hope to become signature tracks for the proxy. We really want the visuals for those to be to be top notch and to have a good product. It's the one thing I think the project has lacked for a long time is a product. But again, it's taken us that long that I just don't want to really rush things now. So taking our time with those and coming up with some cool ideas. There's already some cool thematic ideas in both the music and the lyrics to kind of draw off. So we've got some cool
so you want to go for a storyline sort of thing, and okay.
Yeah, definitely. Tell a story. Kind of metaphorical type stuff. I do really like that that kind of video montage style of music video as well. So I'm almost leaning towards having that that type of video where the band really doesn't feature much at all. We're all getting we're all fucking old and ugly now anyway. So
that's why I question. I go, if at all, just do the story.
If at all, yeah. So the one I guess proper film clip we do have out at the moment is up on our YouTube for a track called No Way Back, and it's really just that. Montage clip of news reports and fucking war scenes and police brutality, which is another one of those bugbears of mine, which is really hard at the moment actually because I won't out who it is for his safety and probably and mine, but a very, shall we say, close acquaintance is entering the police force very soon, and almost since the time he mentioned it, there's been a weekly report of police being fucked.
Yeah.
Like whether it's here in Australia, in America. And, you know, me being me, I can't help but comment on it. And I feel like I've maybe alienated him a little bit in the last month. So, sorry, bro, it's nothing personal. Just, you know, don't be one of those. Like, you know, maybe try and do something to fix it from within.
Yeah, but, you know, the job does attract certain types. But with that said as well, you can't have that broad brush and paint everyone with the same brush, you know, with that generalisation. But with that said, fellas, there's a lot of shit going on out there. If you don't want us painting a broad brush on your organisation, perhaps you should fix it up a little bit.
And I think that's one of the biggest criticisms that that people often make. You know, I guess in that musician / activist space, Ezekiel Ox is a big influence of mine. He's not backward in going forward in what he says or thinks. People who don't know Ezekiel, he's the front man for bands like Mammal, Super Heist these days, and a bunch of his own individual projects. You've probably seen him on TV as well at rallies or you know, getting bailed up by the media or sometimes arrested. But you know, again, that's one of the biggest criticisms I guess he makes of the organisation, is that there's not enough people within the organisation standing up saying this ain't fucking right. Every time you kind of turn to the organisation for help to go, you saw this, we all saw this, we're saying it's not right, but invariably they come out and go, yeah, no, we think they were all right, or they were justified in their actions.
We're going to look after them, because if we don't, it's going to be detrimental to the organisation as a whole.
Exactly.
And then it's like this poor fellow over in the States where all these riots have started. Like, you know, you've probably seen the footage. I've seen the footage. Everyone's seen the footage.
As much as I could watch, yeah.
Yeah, and like, it's just like everyone around them who's not even medically trained is going, the dude's not breathing, mate. Just let him up.
Yeah.
Let him up. Like, you're being a dick. And not only that, you're being a severe dick.
Yeah, it's that level of, you know, the other one that really got me the other week was it was here in Australia. A 15-year-old girl was being escorted from it was a 420 festival actually.
Oh yeah.
So there was kind of that humorous aspect to it as well. But then you know, she's cuffed, being escorted away, and then she just gets clean punched straight in the face. A 15-year-old, restrained girl cops a full blow to the face, and police standards come out and justify that action when all they needed to do to calm and reassure the community that this isn't acceptable was to say this isn't acceptable, but they do and say the opposite.
No, they dug their heels.
Yeah, dug their heels. No, it was justified because she was spat on.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Sorry,
not right
but it's just straight up retaliation. She took offence to being spat on and retaliated.
That's right.
That's any you know, clear thinking person.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. But look, I'll just give you an example. An example that I always sort of look at is a really mild sort of one. It's illegal to use a mobile phone while you're driving, but it's not illegal for police to do so.
Yeah,
they don't receive any training to drive with a mobile phone, but yet they are capable of driving with a mobile phone, but we are not.
Yeah. And
I just think you got to do one of two things in that situation. You either drop the whole mobile phone issue. If you get caught texting on your phone, or, you know, there's different usage of a phone, right? Should you be texting at 110 k's an hour?
Yeah, no.
Probably not. Probably not. But could you have a phone up to your ear while driving 100 k's an hour? Probably. Is it safe? No, probably not. In any circumstance, how could you make that okay for the police? So you've either got to abolish the law or don't have the double standard.
Yeah.
By having that double standard there, you lose credibility. People go, well, why would I listen to anything that you've got to say after even just a mild, action like that? And then when you zoom out from those little things, you start to discover more, and you realise that, you know, it is a boys' club. It is a boys' club, and it is a scenario where they're going to look after their own. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Of course, one would look after their own. That's just human nature.
Yeah, of course.
But you need to have transparency, and you need to call a spade, man, and go, you know, that ain't right.
Yeah.
Should I be on my phone while I'm driving? No. Should I put my knee into someone's neck for 8 minutes continuously?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
You know, these aren't difficult things to come to, and you don't need to have an indoctrinated moral fibre to find that answer. Any normal human being would find that within themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's not rocket science. It's fucking brain surgery.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that, you know, really hypocrisy is just one of those things that is just the hardest thing to swallow, when there were clear and evident examples of, you know, it not working in both directions. That's when people are like, man, I'm checking out now. You know, I ain't even fucking listening listening no more.
Yeah, they'll just switch off.
Yeah.
They'll just switch off,
And,
right?
and that's actually the absolute worst outcome is for people to check out and stop listening. You want people listening.
Yeah.
You want people engaged, whether it's for...
and that way that critical eye is removed when they switch off. You're
Yeah.
dead right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But on that political note, man, I think I'm really at the end of time. We're
Yeah, I think
cutting it close, man. We're cutting it close, actually.
Got a bit heavy there, but...
We did. We got a bit heavy and wild. But with that said, before we go, where can we find you online?
Yeah, look, we're pretty much on all of the major platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and everything's / the Proxy Music. So whatever your favourite platform is, / the Proxy Music, all one word, all lowercase. And yeah, you'll find us. Also, Bandcamp is probably the main space to find our music.
Bandcamp's great. I love Bandcamp.
Bandcamp's good, man. It's the only one giving us artists any decent kickback. You know, again, we've been a little bit stubborn in signing up for your CD babies and those kind of deals to get on Spotify and all that stuff. Look, in saying that, we probably suck a bit of eggs once the album is done in its entirety.
Oh, we're totally whoring ourselves out. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple. You know, yeah.
We'll get to that point once we've got the full product ready. But until then, we'll make us get as much kickback as we can through those key platforms. So
Bandcamp's a good start, kids. Bandcamp's a great start. So make sure you check out the Proxy at Bandcamp and every other platform, the Gram, Facebook, and you're not on Twitter. Why would you be on Twitter?
No, we don't really
Fuck
tweet.
Twitter.
I've tried to narrow it down to a couple where we just really focus it, you know. I think we were trying to
And
plug
YouTube.
the Triple J on Earth for a while. It just got too many. I'm like, let's just focus our attention on a couple. So yeah, IGTV and Instagram, we're starting to do a bit more on that. It seems to be the one that's really picking up. People are, I think, starting to gravitate to that more
Yeah, great.
than Facebook, just because it cuts out all the crap, cuts out all the rants and all, you know. Just,
Well, I find Facebook, I try to use like real-time analogies, right? So Facebook is like a lamppost with a poster on it. That's what I find it like.
Yeah.
And it's been posted
yeah,
a shitload of
That's
times.
right.
And after a big weather event, you could see the posters underneath.
Yeah.
That's what Facebook is, really.
Yeah, and Instagram is like those new, like billboard type things on the side of the bus that roll and move and
they're the bus stop
animate
rollers.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's what I was going to say, man. And Instagram is the bus stop that has the automated roller on it. Yeah, totally. But man, we're totally out of time. And thank you so much for being on the show, man.
No, thanks for having us, man. I felt a little bit uncredentialed, actually, having not met you, not shared beer with you, but happy to have now done both. And
Oh man, I had an absolute hoot, man. I learned a lot. I learned an absolute lot, man. So
Yeah.
thank you once again.
thanks for having us, man.
All right, and guys, don't forget to go and subscribe to the Pagey Train on YouTube. Go and tick like on Facebook, and you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we'll see you guys next time. That's it, man. All done.
Awesome.
Yeah, once again, man. Thank you very much. It's been
that was
great to meet
cool, man.
you.
Enjoyed it.
All right. Hopefully, it's all recording still.